Jinha walked slowly into the big meeting room. His shoes made quiet sounds on the metal floor. The other aliens turned to look at him. Some made faces like they smelled something bad. Others just shook their heads. "Oh no," said one of the blue-skinned. "Vortani, the human is here again." Jinha smiled and waved his hand. "Hello, friends. Good day for meeting, yes?" His words came out wrong on purpose. He made his voice sound dumb and slow. The tall Zephyrian leader rolled his 4 eyes. "Human Jinha, please sit down. We have important things to talk about today." Jinha sat in the small chair they gave him. It was in the back corner, far from the big table where the real important aliens sat. This was how it always was. For 300 years, humans got the worst seats, the worst jobs, and the worst planets to live on. The meeting started. Jinha listened to everything but acted like he did not understand. The aliens talked about new weapons, new ships, and new wars. They spoke in the common tongue, but they used big words on purpose. They thought humans were too dumb to understand. Jinha was not dumb. He understood every word. He also had a small device in his ear that recorded everything. Every alien voice, every secret plan, every weakness they talked about. All of it went back to the humans who were really in charge. "The humans in Sector 7 need more food," said the Vortani leader. "Their farms are failing again." "Typical," laughed a crystalline delegate. "Humans cannot even grow food right." "How did they ever get to space?" Jinha raised his hand slowly. "Please." "Sir, my people work hard. We try to grow food. But soil is bad and machines always break." The aliens laughed. Jinha looked sad and embarrassed. Inside he wanted to laugh too, but for different reasons. The humans in Sector 7 were not starving. They were building the biggest weapons factory in the galaxy. The broken machines were actually making battleships that could destroy entire fleets. After the meeting, Jinha walked to his small office. It looked like a closet compared to the big rooms the other aliens had. The walls were gray and boring. His desk was old and scratched. Everything about it screamed, unimportant human. But Jinha loved this office. He pressed a button under his desk. The wall opened up, showing a room full of bright screens and computers. This was his real workplace. Here he could drop the act. "Computer, start recording," he said in perfect common tongue. His voice was strong and clear now. "Today's intelligence report. The consortium is building 12 new dreadnought ships. They will be ready in 6 months. The Zephyrians are having trouble with their shield technology. The Vortani are running out of energy crystals for their weapons." He talked for an hour, sharing everything he had learned. Every alien weakness, every military secret, every political problem. The recording went straight to Shadow Station, where the real human leaders would use it to plan their next moves. Jinha had been playing this game for 30 years. He was born on Earth, but he grew up pretending to be stupid. His parents taught him how to act dumb, how to look confused, how to make the aliens think he was harmless. It was the hardest job in the galaxy, but also the most important. The aliens thought they knew everything about humans. They thought humans were a young species that got lucky with space travel. They believed humans were weak, slow, and not very smart. The truth was the opposite, but humans worked very hard to hide it. On Earth, deep underground, humans had built cities that would amaze the aliens. They had computers faster than anything in the galaxy. They had weapons that could crack planets in half. They had ships that could travel between stars in minutes, instead of days, but the most important thing humans had was patience. For 300 years, they had waited. They had pretended to be weak while they got stronger. They had acted stupid while they learned everything about their enemies. Jinha's job was to be the perfect fool. Every day he had to act like he could barely tie his shoes. He had to ask stupid questions and make silly mistakes. He had to let the aliens treat him like a child. Even though he was smarter than most of them, the hardest part was not fighting back. When the aliens laughed at humans, Jinha had to laugh too. When they gave humans the worst jobs, Jinha had to say, "Thank you." When they sent humans to dangerous places, Jinha had to act grateful, but Jinha knew the truth. Humans were not The weak ones in this galaxy. They were the hunters, and every alien species was their prey. The aliens just did not know it yet. His computer made a soft sound. A new message appeared on the screen. It was from Harin, the human woman who lived on Nexus Prime. She was supposed to be a simple student, learning about old alien history. Really, she was one of their best spies. Jinha, her message said, I found something big. The aliens have been lying about our history. We were not always weak. I found proof that humans once ruled huge parts of the galaxy. They made us forget on purpose. Jinha felt his heart beat faster. This was what they had been waiting for. Proof that humans were meant to be more than servants and workers. Proof that they had been great once before. He typed back quickly. Send me everything. We need to tell Quan right away. Quan was the human who ran Shadow Station. He was the one who decided when the masquerade would end. He was the one who would give the order to stop pretending and start fighting. Jinha looked at his reflection in the dark computer screen. Tomorrow, he would go back to acting stupid. He would stumble over his words and ask dumb questions. He would let the aliens think he was just a harmless fool, but deep inside he felt something burning. It was the fire that lived in every human heart. The fire that made them fight when things got bad. The fire that made them never give up, no. Matter how hard things got. Soon the aliens would see that fire. Soon they would learn what it really meant to be human. The masquerade was almost over. Quan stood in the control room of Shadow Station. Around him, thousands of screens showed every corner of the galaxy. Each screen told a different story. Each story was about humans who were pretending to be something they were not. The station looked like a giant rock floating in space. Alien ships flew past it every day. They never stopped to look. Why would they? It was just another boring asteroid in a belt full of boring asteroids. But inside the rock, Shadow Station was bigger than most alien cities. It had 3 million people living and working in it. They had everything they needed. Food makers, water cleaners, air makers, and the biggest computer system in the galaxy. Sir, said a young woman at a control desk. We have a report from Agent Blue on Nexus Prime. Quan nodded. Agent Blue was Harin's code name. She had been on the alien homeworld for 5 years now. The aliens thought she was just a student who wanted to learn about old history. They had no idea she was really looking for proof of humanity's past. What did she find? Quan asked. The woman put Harin's report on the big screen. Pictures of old alien buildings appeared. The buildings were covered in symbols and writing. Most of it was in alien languages, but some of it was in human letters. She found human writing that is over 2,000 years old, the woman said. The aliens have been hiding it from us. They built their cities on top of our old cities. Quan felt anger grow in his chest. For 300 years, humans had been told they were new to space. The aliens said humans had only left Earth recently. They said humans were young and stupid and needed to be taught everything. It was all lies. Give me a connection to all station. Chiefs, Quan said, it's time for a full report. The screen changed. Now it showed the faces of 12 other humans. Each one was in charge of a different secret station. The aliens had no idea these stations existed. Good morning, everyone. Quan said, status report. How are our people doing? The first face belonged to Park, who ran the station in the Vortani system. All good here, sir. We have 50 agents working in their military bases. They still think our people are just cleaners and cooks. Last week we copied the plans for their new battle cruiser. The second face was Yoon from the crystalline worlds. Our mining teams are doing well. The aliens think we're just digging for common metals. Really, we're building weapons factories under their biggest cities. We could take over their whole planet in one day if we wanted to. One by one, each station chief gave their report. The numbers were incredible. Humans had secret bases in every alien system. They had people working in every alien government. They had weapons hidden on every alien world. The aliens thought they ruled the galaxy. Really, humans were watching their every move. How many ships do we have now? Quan asked. 12,000 in the main fleet, answered Lee, the fleet commander. But that's just the big ships. We have 50,000 smaller ships hidden in asteroid belts and dead planets. Each one is stronger than the best alien dreadnought. Quan smiled. The aliens had maybe 3,000 ships total. They thought that was a lot. They had no idea humans had built a fleet that could destroy them all in a few hours. What about the enhancement program? Quan asked. This was the secret he was most proud of. For 200 years, humans had been changing themselves. Not just with machines, but with biology. They were making themselves stronger, faster, and smarter. Phase 3 is complete, said Dr. Choi, the head scientist. All our agents now have enhanced strength and speed. They can survive in space without suits. They can heal from wounds that would kill normal people. And the best part is, the aliens can't tell the difference. Quan had the enhancements too. He was 3 times stronger than when he was born. His bones were harder than alien metal. His brain worked faster than their computers. But when he was around aliens, he acted weak and slow. "Sir," said another voice, "we have a problem." The screen showed the face of Agent Red. His real name was Sue, and he worked on the Zephyrian Council world. He looked worried. "What is it?" Quan asked. "The aliens are planning something big. They're moving their fleets to the edge of the galaxy. They're building new bases and stocking up on weapons. I think they're getting ready for a war." Quan felt his stomach drop. "War with who?" "Not with each other," Sue said. "They're all working together. All the alien races are joining forces. They're preparing for something to come from outside the galaxy." The room went quiet. This was not in any of their plans. Humans had been ready to fight the aliens for years, but they had never thought about fighting something from outside the galaxy. "Get me more information," Juan said. "I want to know everything. Who are they fighting? When will they come? How strong are they?" "There's more," Sue said. "I heard the alien leaders talking. They said humans might be useful in the war. Not as soldiers, but as ... Now Quan felt real anger. The aliens wanted to use humans as food for their enemies. They wanted to throw human lives away to save their own. "Send this information to all stations," Quan said. "Everyone needs to know what's coming, and get me a message to Jinha. He needs to learn everything he can about this enemy." After the meeting ended, Quan walked to his private office. It was a small room with a big window that looked out at the stars. He often came here to think. For 300 years, humans had been playing a game. They had been pretending to be weak while they got strong. They had been acting dumb while they learned everything about their enemies. The game was almost over. Soon the aliens would see what humans really were. Soon they would learn that the weak little species they had been pushing around was actually the most dangerous thing in the galaxy. But now there was something else coming. Something that scared the aliens so much they were willing to work together. Something that made them want to use humans as bait. Quan looked at his reflection in the window. He saw a man who looked normal and harmless. But under his skin he was a weapon. His bones were steel. His blood was poison to most aliens. His brain could think faster than their computers. Every human in the galaxy was like him now. They were all weapons, pretending to be tools. The aliens had no idea what they had created. They thought they were raising pets. Really, they were feeding predators. Soon they would all learn the truth. Soon they would see what happened when you threatened the children of Earth. The Watchers were ready to stop watching and start hunting. The first ships came from the dark space between galaxies. They were black and twisted, like metal that had been burned and bent by fire. The alien scouts saw them coming and sent warnings to their fleets. Unknown ships approaching Sector 12. The message said, "They do not answer our calls. They do not slow down." The consortium fleet was ready. 500 of their best ships waited in formation. The Zephyrians had their plasma cannons charged. The Vortani had their shield generators at full power. The Crystallins had their laser arrays aimed and ready. The first battle lasted 3 minutes. When it was over, the alien fleet was gone. Not destroyed, Gone, the black ships had eaten them, metal, energy, crew, everything. The aliens had never seen anything like it. Jinha sat in his corner seat at the emergency council meeting. The aliens were scared. Some of them were shaking. Others were crying. The proud species that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years were acting like frightened children. "What are they?" asked the Vortani leader. His blue skin had turned pale gray. "We call them devourers," said the Zephyrian commander. "Our scientists have been studying them for months. They consume everything, matter, energy, even thoughts and memories." Jinha pretended to look confused. "Please, sir, what does consume mean?" "It means they eat everything human," the Zephyrian snapped. "They eat ships, planets, people, everything." The alien leaders talked for hours. They made plans and strategies. They talked about retreating to safe worlds. They talked about hiding until the devourers went away. But Jinha knew they were lying about something. He could see it in their eyes. They were not just scared. They were guilty. After the meeting, Jinha walked slowly to his office. But instead of going inside, he took a different path. He had learned every secret passage in the station over the years. The aliens thought he was too dumb to remember where he was going. He found the ventilation shaft that led to the command center. He crawled through it until he could hear the alien leaders talking in their private meeting. "The plan is working," said the Vortani leader. "The devourers are following the path we gave them." "Good," said the Zephyrian. "They hit the human colonies first. That will give us time to prepare our defenses." Jinha felt his blood turn cold. The aliens were using humans as bait. They were leading the devourers straight to human worlds. "What about the children?" asked a crystalline voice. "The devourers always take the children first." "That is not our problem," said the Vortani. "Human children are not important. Let the devourers have them. It will keep them busy while we escape." Jinha had to put his hand over his mouth to keep from screaming. For 300 years he had listened to aliens insult humans. He had stayed calm when they called humans stupid. He had smiled when they gave humans the worst jobs. But this was different. They were talking about feeding human children to monsters. He crawled back through the shaft as fast as he could. In his office, he sent an emergency message to Shadow Station. His hands were shaking as he typed. Code Red: aliens are leading devourers to human colonies. Children are primary targets. Request immediate orders. The answer came back in seconds. It was from Quan himself. Understood. Prepare for Protocol Omega. The masquerade ends now. 3 days later, the devourers reached the human colony of New Sol. It was a small world with 50,000 people. Most of them were families with children. The aliens had told them it was a safe place to live. Harin was there when the attack started. She had been moved from Nexus Prime to help with the colony's research station. Really, she was there to watch for exactly this kind of threat. The first devourer ship landed near the main school. It was huge and black, with tentacles that moved like living things. The tentacles reached out and grabbed the building. Then they started to pull Har and ran toward the school. She could hear the children screaming inside. The teachers were trying to get them out, but the tentacles were too fast. She reached the school just as the first children were pulled into the ship. They were young, maybe 6 or 7 years old. They were crying for their parents. "Let them go," Harin shouted. She ran at the tentacles with nothing but her bare hands. The tentacles grabbed her too. She felt them lifting her up toward the ship. Inside, she could see a terrible sight. The ship was full of machines that looked like they were made from bones and metal. The machines were connected to the children. The devourers were not just eating the children. They were plugging them into their machines. They were stealing their thoughts and memories. They were learning everything about humans by torturing human children. Harin felt something snap inside her mind. For 30 years, she had been pretending to be weak. She had acted scared and helpless. She had let aliens push her around and treat her like she was stupid, but now she was looking at human children being tortured by monsters. And the aliens had led the monsters here on purpose. She stopped pretending. Harin grabbed the tentacle that was holding her. Her enhanced strength kicked in. The tentacle was as thick as a tree trunk, but she crushed it in her hands. Black blood sprayed everywhere. The devourer ship made a sound like a scream. More tentacles reached for her, but she was already moving. She jumped from tentacle to tentacle, breaking each one. She was fast and strong and angry. She reached the ship's hull and punched through it. The metal was harder than steel, but her fist went through it like paper. She climbed inside and started breaking the machines. The children looked at her with wide eyes. This was not the weak human woman they had seen before. This was something else, something dangerous. "Run," she told them. "Get to the shelters. Tell everyone the truth. Tell them the humans are not weak anymore." She pulled the children free from the machines and threw them out of the ship. Her enhanced body could survive the fall. The children would be bruised but alive. More devourer ships were landing. They were heading for the schools and nurseries. They wanted the children. Harin sent a message to Shadow Station. It was short and simple. "They're taking our children." Across the galaxy, every human agent got the same message. Every human spy, every human worker, every human who had been pretending to be weak and stupid and harmless. The message was clear. The aliens had crossed the line. They had threatened human children. The masquerade was over. On Shadow Station, Quan looked at the reports coming in. Devourer ships were attacking human colonies across 12 systems. The aliens were not helping. They were not even sending warnings. They were just watching while human children were taken. Quan pressed a button on his desk. All across the galaxy, hidden transmitters turned on. Every human agent heard the same message. Protocol Omega is now active. Drop all covers. Show them what we really are. The 300-year game was ending. The aliens were about to learn what happened when you threatened the children of Earth. The first thing that happened was the lights dot all across the galaxy. In places the aliens thought were empty, lights began to turn on. Asteroid belts that had been dark for centuries suddenly blazed with power. Dead planets started glowing like stars. Empty space itself seemed to come alive. On the Zephyrian homeworld, the janitor named Day stopped mopping the floor. He had been cleaning the same building for 20 years. The aliens barely noticed him. He was just another dumb human who couldn't do anything important, but when the signal came, Day smiled. He pressed a button on his mop handle. The mop handle was not really a mop handle. It was a transmitter. The building shook. Deep underground, machines that had been sleeping for decades woke up. The basement that the aliens thought was used for storage was actually a command center. The cleaning supplies were actually weapons. Day walked to the main elevator. He put his hand on the scanner. The aliens had never seen him use this scanner. They didn't know it was there. "Welcome, Commander Day," said a voice. "All systems are online." Awaiting your orders, the elevator went down. Way down, past the basement. Past the foundation, deep into the planet's core. When the doors opened, Day stepped into a room full of computers and weapons. 100 human soldiers were waiting for him. "Sir," said one of them, "we've been ready for 30 years. What are your orders?" Day looked at the screens. They showed the whole planet. Every alien military base, every government building, every important target. The humans had been watching and mapping everything. "Take the planet," he said. "But remember, we're not here to hurt innocent people. We're here to save human children." The same thing was happening on every alien world. The dumb humans were revealing who they really were. The janitors became commanders. The cooks became soldiers. The mechanics became pilots of ships the aliens had never seen. On Shadow Station, Quan watched it all happen. His screens showed the truth that had been hidden for 300 years. Humans were not the weak species living in the corners of the galaxy. They were the secret rulers. "Fleet status report," he said. "All ships are uncloaked and ready," came the answer. 12,000 heavy cruisers, 50,000 fighters, 800 planetary assault ships. "What about the asteroid bases? Online and armed. We have weapons platforms in every system." The aliens never knew they were there. Quan nodded. For 3 centuries, humans had been building this fleet. Every ship was hidden inside asteroids or disguised as space junk. The aliens flew past human weapons every day and never saw them. Begin Phase 2, Quan said. It's time to show them what human engineering can do. In the Vortani system, a cargo ship called the Peaceful Trader was flying slowly toward the planet. The aliens had seen this ship 1,000 times. It carried food and supplies. Nothing important, but when the signal came, the ship began to change. The hull opened up like a flower. Inside were not cargo holds, but weapon bays. The engines that had seemed so weak suddenly roared to life. The ship that had crawled through space at slow speed now moved faster than any alien fighter. The Peaceful Trader was not a cargo ship. It was a battleship. The most advanced battleship in the galaxy. All across space, the same thing was happening. Human cargo ships were unfolding into war machines. Mining vessels were revealing massive weapons. Research stations were turning into military bases. The aliens had been living inside a human war machine for 300 years. They just didn't know it. On the Galactic Council station, Jinha walked into the emergency meeting. The aliens were running around like scared animals. Their fleets were being destroyed. Their planets were being taken over. Their weak human servants had become their masters. Jinha, shouted the Vortani leader. Thank the stars you're here. You have to help us. Your people have gone crazy. Jinha looked at the alien. For 30 years, this creature had treated him like dirt, had called him stupid, had laughed at him, had given him the worst jobs and the smallest chair. I'm sorry, Jinha said. I don't understand what you mean. But his voice was different now. He was not speaking in broken common tongue. His words were clear and perfect. His tone was strong and commanding. What happened to your voice? Asked the Zephyrian. Nothing happened to my voice, Jinha said. I just stopped pretending to be an idiot. The aliens stared at him. For the first time, they were seeing the real Jinha. Not the bumbling fool who asked stupid questions. The real Jinha was tall and confident. His eyes were sharp and intelligent. He looked like what he really was, a master spy and military commander. You've been lying to us? Asked the crystalline delegate. For 300 years, Jinha said. Every day I came to these meetings. Every day I listened to your plans. Every day I reported everything back to my people. You told me all your secrets because you thought I was too dumb to understand them. But humans are weak, said the Vortani. You can barely build simple machines. You can't even feed yourselves properly, Jinha laughed. It was not a nice laugh. Wood. You like to see what humans can really build? He pressed a button on his wrist. The big screen in the meeting room turned on. It showed space near the council station. The aliens gasped. There were ships everywhere, thousands of them. They were huge and beautiful and terrible. They looked like they were made of light and metal and fire. The aliens had never seen anything like them. These are human ships, Jinha said. We built them while you thought we were too dumb to understand basic math. Each one of these ships could destroy your entire fleet by itself. Impossible, whispered the Zephyrian. Nothing is impossible for humans, Jinha said. That's what you never understood. You thought we were weak because we let you push us around. You thought we were stupid because we asked simple questions. You thought we were helpless because we accepted your charity. He walked to the big table where the aliens sat, the same table where he had been forbidden to sit for 30 years. He sat down in the biggest chair, the one that belonged to the council leader. But we were never weak, he said. We were hunting, we were patient. We were waiting for the right moment to strike. What do you want? Asked the Vortani leader. What do I want? Jinha stood up. I want you to understand something. For 300 years, you treated us like pets. You gave us the worst worlds to live on. You made us do the jobs you didn't want to do. You called us stupid and weak and worthless. His voice got louder, angrier. But we accepted it all. We smiled and said thank you. We played along with your game. Do you know why? The aliens shook their heads. Because we knew that someday you would go too far. Someday you would make a mistake so big that we would have to stop pretending. Someday you would threaten something. We could not allow you to threaten. What did we threaten? Whispered the crystalline. Jinha's eyes blazed with fury. Our children. You led monsters to our children. You watched while they were taken. You did nothing while they were tortured. The room was silent. Now you get to see what happens when you threaten human children, Jinha said. Now you get to see what humans really are when we stop being nice. Outside the station, the human fleet was growing. More ships arrived every minute. Ships that could crack planets? Ships that could burn stars? Ships that could do things the aliens had never imagined. The masquerade was over. The humans were no longer pretending to be weak. The galaxy was about to learn what 300 years of human patience and rage could create. The Devourer fleet was massive. 1,000 black ships moved through space like hungry wolves. They had eaten 3 alien fleets already. Nothing could stop them. But they had never fought humans before. Harren stood on the bridge of the rescue. Ship Mother's Wrath. Around her, 50 other humans worked at control panels. They all had the same look in their eyes, cold fury. Deadly purpose. Target acquired, said the weapons officer. Devourer mothership ahead. Scans show 300 human children inside. Harren felt her heart clench. 300 children. Stolen from their homes. Plugged into alien machines. Being tortured for information. All ships, this is Harren, she said into her communicator. We're not here to fight a war. We're here to save our children. Every shot you fire, every move you make, think of them. The human fleet was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The ships moved like living things. They bent and twisted. Through space, they changed shape as they flew. Some looked like metal birds. Others looked like silver fish. All of them were beautiful and terrible. The Devourers fired first. Black beams of energy that could cut through planets. The beams hit the human ships and ... did nothing. The ships absorbed the energy and kept flying. Impossible, said the Devourer hive mind. Nothing survives our death beams. But humans had studied the Devourers for months. They had learned how the death beams worked. They had built their ships to eat that energy and turn it into power. Return fire, Harren ordered. The human ships fired back, but they didn't use normal weapons. They used gravity itself. They twisted space around the Devourer ships. They made time move slower. They turned the laws of physics into weapons. Devourer ships that had seemed unstoppable began to fall apart. Their black hulls cracked. Their tentacles went limp. The creatures inside began to die. How? The hive mind screamed. How are you doing this? We're human, Harren said. We don't follow your rules. On the other side of the galaxy, Quan was fighting the biggest battle of his life. The main Devourer fleet had come to destroy Earth. They wanted to eat the human homeworld and everyone on it. But Earth was not defenseless. The planet the aliens thought was weak and primitive was actually the most fortified world in the galaxy. The moon opened up like a giant flower. Inside was not rock and dust, but weapons. Weapons that had been built over 3 centuries. Weapons that could kill gods. The space around Earth filled with human ships. They came from everywhere. From asteroid belts, from dead planets, from the dark between stars. Ships that had been waiting for this moment for 300 years. All ships, this is Quan, he said. Today we show the galaxy what it means to be human. Today we show them the fire that burns in our hearts. The battle was like nothing anyone had ever seen. The humans fought with weapons that shouldn't exist. They used black holes as bullets. They turned stars into bombs. They reached into other dimensions to find new ways to kill their enemies. But the most amazing thing was how they moved. Human ships danced through space like they were alive. They helped each other. They saved each other. When one ship was hurt, 3 others would protect it. The Devourers fought like machines. Cold, logical, predictable, humans fought like family. With love, with rage. With the desperate fury of parents protecting their children. On Nexus Prime, Jinha was doing something the aliens thought was impossible. He was leading a rebellion of every species in the galaxy. Humans, Vortani, Zephyrians, Crystallans, all of them working together. "Why are you helping us?" asked the Vortani soldier. "We treated you like dirt for 300 years. "Because that's what humans do," Jinha said. "We protect people, even people who hurt us. Even people who don't deserve it." The alien looked confused. "But we used your children as bait. We let them be taken." "Yes," Jinha said. "And if we were like you, we would let you die for that. But we're not like you, we're better." The battle raged for days. Human ships fought Devourer ships across 100 star systems, but slowly the tide began to turn. The Devourers were used to fighting enemies who were afraid. They were used to fighting enemies who ran away. They were used to fighting enemies who gave up when things got hard. But humans never gave up. When their ships were destroyed, they kept fighting in smaller ships. When their smaller ships were destroyed, they kept fighting in spacesuits. When their spacesuits ran out of air, they kept fighting with their bare hands. The Devourers began to understand something that scared them. They were not fighting a species. They were fighting a force of nature. They were fighting the fire that burned in every human heart. Harin found the main Devourer ship. It was huge and black and full of stolen children. She took her team inside. They moved through the ship like ghosts, silent, deadly, unstoppable. They found the children in a room full of machines. The machines were stealing their thoughts and memories. The children were crying. Some of them were unconscious. "Get them out of here," Harin ordered. All of them. Her team worked fast. They pulled the children free from the machines. They carried them to safety. They did it with the gentle care of parents and the deadly skill of soldiers. The Devourer in charge of the ship tried to stop them. It was huge and terrible, with tentacles like steel cables and teeth like knives. Harin looked at it and smiled. "You made a mistake," she said. "You took our children." She killed it with her bare hands. Her enhanced strength tore through its armor like paper. Her enhanced speed made her impossible to catch. Her enhanced healing meant its attacks couldn't stop her. But the most dangerous thing about her was not her enhancements. It was her humanity. It was the fire that burned in her heart. The fire that said no force in the universe could hurt human children while she was alive. The battle ended when the Devourer hive mind did something it had never done before. It ran away. The creatures that had eaten entire galaxies fled from a single star system. They had met something they couldn't understand, something they couldn't defeat, something they couldn't consume. They had met humanity. In the aftermath, the galaxy was quiet. The aliens looked at the humans with new eyes. These were not the weak servants they had known. These were the apex predators of the universe. "What happens now?" asked the Vortani leader. Quan looked at him. The human commander was covered in battle scars. His ship was damaged. His fleet was hurt. But his eyes still burned with that human fire. "Now you learn," he said. "You learn that humans are not your servants. We are not your pets. We are not your bait. What are you then?" asked the Zephyrian. Quan smiled. It was not a cruel smile. It was tired, sad, but still human. "We are your guardians," he said. "We always have been. For 300 years we have watched over you. We have protected you from threats you never knew existed. We have kept you safe while you slept. But you're just one species," said the crystalline. "Yes," Quan said, "we are one species. But we are the species that learn to love strangers. We are the species that protects the weak. We are the species that never gives up." He looked out at the stars, at the galaxy that had called humans stupid and weak, at the worlds that had treated humans like dirt. "We are the species that forgives," he said, "even when you don't deserve it." The galaxy was safe. The children were home. The fire of humanity had burned bright enough to light the darkness between stars, and in that fire, everyone could see the truth. Humans were not the weakest species in the galaxy. They were the strongest, because they had learned that true strength was not about power or weapons or fear. True strength was about love, about sacrifice, about standing up for those who couldn't stand up for themselves. True strength was about being human. The masquerade was over. The galaxy knew what humans really were, and the galaxy would never be the same.